Hey, sports fans, football season is here, and it's time to get in on the action with MyBookie.net. MyBookie has real Vegas odds and incredible player props for all your favorite sporting events. MyBookie offers in-game live action on all pro and college football games. There's no better time to join MyBookie than today. Pull out your smartphone and visit our user-friendly mobile site for adrenaline on demand. Open your browser and type in MyBookie. What are you waiting for? Call 844-722-2387 or go online to join MyBookie today. No deposit necessary. Terms and conditions apply. Play for fun only. Void where prohibited.
Hi, this is Jim Feist in Las Vegas. I've been making my clients money for the past 45 years. I'm releasing a special 3-day trial right now on SBTVNation.com. I've isolated the top 5 college and pro football games on the board, and I absolutely love these games. Go to SBTVNation.com right now and click on the 3-day trial button for your exclusive package of winners.
Have a product, service, or website to advertise on the biggest show in the world? The SBTV Nation podcast reaches tens of thousands of the best sports fans on the planet in over 194 countries worldwide. Take your business to the next level by advertising with us. Call us now at 872-529-SBTV or email us at sbtvnation@gmail.com.
Studio check.
Frequencies check.
We are live on air.
You are listening to the In Fact Blessing the Airwaves. Take the journey into the world of sports, news, entertainment, while embracing the hottest beats on the planet. Rocking the mind, body, and with energy, electricity, and a splash of controversy. Now, without further ado, it's our pleasure to bring to you
the biggest show in the world.
The biggest show in the world.
The biggest show in the world. The SBTV Nation.
Oh yeah, SBTV Nation treatments in the house. It is Saturday, September 17th. Time to get up and do that thing that we call football. What's up?
College football dream. We kicked it off last night, and we're bringing it into today with some marquee matchups that I'm super excited about. How you feeling, man?
Listen, man, the slate is exciting today. We've got great matchups today. A lot of teams are going at it. We got a couple of, marquee matchups. And it's great because when you think about it, we opened up opening week of college football with incredible matchups. Then we got a little booty last week where, it was, David versus Goliath.
Yes.
But now we're right back to some really, tight matchups that could put a stamp on the season for a couple of teams. A couple of teams are in almost must-win situations if they're looking for any type of playoff hopes, in the future at the end of this season. So this week is going to be a very pivotal week for a couple of these teams.
Definitely, because I strongly feel that if you've got 2 losses moving into the committee selection, you're probably not going to make it into the playoffs. So teams like Oklahoma, you can't lose 2 games, so you have to win.
If you got a 2-piece, you get no biscuit hat.
You got no biscuit at all. Good morning to everybody. SBTV Nation, stand up. We are live on Twitter right now, SBTV Nation and the Dream _SBTV. We're talking about what we got going on over the weekend. Obviously, today is college football, and we'll be breaking it down front to back, left, right, sideways, the whole package. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing the NFL slate, going up and down the card and having a conversation about the latest odds, the lines, the injuries, a little bit of fantasy mixed in, and everything else. On Monday, we're bringing in my man Big Splee. Very excited about getting him on Monday. And next Thursday, we've got Charles J. from FSN Info coming on to grace us with his presence. And if you want, you could feel free to give us a call from wherever you are in the world today. After our first commercial break, we'll be letting you know what the phone number is, and you could always feel free to give us a call.
If you're out there listening, please call your boys. You know what I'm saying? Even if you got something slick to say, because I got handled.
Yes.
Okay, I got handled. So go ahead and call in your boy with something slick, because I got you.
Yeah,
right?
I got
Just call in, I got you. Trust me. I got we could go slick to Slick all day. But nah, call in and talk to us. We like to talk, hear your thoughts. You know, I like to talk to everybody. It's not about that. I'm just trying to be funny. But, call in. We'd love to hear your thoughts, love to hear your ideas about today. If you got any ideas, even if you don't want to even talk about sports, you want to talk about something else, give us a call. We'll rap with you and kick it with you for a minute. Of course, we are interested in football today, but if you do want to, touch on bases and, a couple of y'all might want to talk about soccer. I don't know why, but if you want to, we will try to entertain that thought.
Dream, speaking of bases, congratulations on the New York Metropolitans and Big Sexy getting it done last night.
Big Sexy got it done last night. I put the play in, and I got to be honest with you, I'm cracking up as I'm putting it in. I'm like, oh, man, am I really getting involved with this baseball thing? But, hey, it turned out, worked all out nice. They went up 3-0 really quick. I think 2-0 really quick. And then I got one more for insurance, and it just rolled all through the evening. Then you hit me up in the 9th inning. Hat wants to hit me up in the 9th inning with the kiss of death. Because I got this thing. I don't want to talk about or celebrate any type of wins that are even slightly remotely close. And 3-0 is no big deal in baseball.
Right.
But I don't want to talk about any type of wins until the game is over. Sure enough,
thought it was over.
I look at the phone. Hat hits me up. Mets. Got him. So I go back to the phone to look. We got him. And it says top of the 9th, runner on first.
There you go.
Like, why did you do that? So I click back to the phone, and now it's like 2 outs, but there's runners on first and second, and I'm heated with him.
Uh-huh.
I text him back. I'm like, dude, don't do that. And then finally, it comes to the final score. So good call by you. Good job. Excellent call on the Mets. Love to see that win. And hey, we're on a roll right now.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, that was your call. You actually made that call initially for the New York Metropolitans.
I made the call, but I listen, I'm taking no credit for baseball.
I was on the Texas Rangers. That was a big stomach ache last night. Oh, my God. I was down 3 runs right out the gate. I'm like, here we go. I'm going to lose this play. And sure enough, bottom of the 9th inning, walk-off fashion yet again, Dream. Get the job done.
Since we're talking about baseball right now, Hat, you might want to really quickly, I don't know, do you want to just talk about what's relative today?
What's relative today? I mean, real quick, just before we even get it. Guys, we have a lot of marquee football, and we're going to get into that momentarily very, very quickly. But just looking at it here, you got New York and Boston. You got David Price on the bump for Boston. Looking at a couple of other spots, the New York Metropolitans are trying to secure the wild card. They got Minnesota again. Mets are throwing Seth Lugo on the bump versus Irvin Santana. And the rest of the landscape, obviously, a big wild card matchup. You got St. Louis versus San Francisco, Mike Leake versus Jeff Samardzija, and St. Louis has lost a couple of games in a row, I believe 3 in a row now. So they better get their act together or else they're going to be in big trouble. And you got Houston versus Seattle, Michael Fires versus James Paxton in the AL West, to be exact. So moving on, Dream, I just don't think I'm going to get involved in any baseball today. I like too much football.
No, I like a lot of football today. I'm not getting involved in any, but just putting that out there as we like to cover everything. I know some of you guys are still out there playing baseball. We want to give you a tad bit of attention. If you're not messing with those games, honestly, I don't know why you'd be messing with the others. Those games are the impactful games. Right. So, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Listen, like he said, we are in football, so that's your splash.
Yeah, that's your splash right there. See ya. You don't want no San Diego Padres versus the Colorado Rockies today?
I'm good, thanks.
Come on, get some.
I'm good.
Get some. All right, guys, so good morning to you. We are having a good time and rocking and rolling going from there. Dream, Utah State last night was a laugher. Was up 24-0 at the half, and they ended up closing the thing out, covering the spread. And you know what? I saw that game, and I liked it. And I don't usually play teams like Utah State.
Yeah, I did not get involved. I did see it, and I knew you were honest, so I was rooting for you. I saw out the corner of my eye because I couldn't get it on TV. But I did see the USTA quarterback. No, I'm sorry, Arizona State quarterback, not the USTA. Arizona State quarterback got smoke showed last night in the game. My gosh, the dude get blown up. Did you see that hit?
I did not see that hit, no.
Oh, my gosh, dude. He got blown up last night. Tried to run the ball for some reason. I don't know what got into him, but he will probably not revisit that again as he got train wrecked trying to get to the sideline. The hit was so hard, my whole TV screen buckled.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I was busy watching baseball and watching Baylor not cover their spread. Yeah, again. Kind of struggling with the Rice Owls a little bit for a minute there.
They struggled for a minute, and but we talked about teasing that in some respect and manipulating that line and manipulating that number because neither one of us really loved the number.
Got it. That's right. We talked about it. And Baylor, just does not cover spreads, Dream. I believe that makes them like 1-6 in the last 7 against the spread.
It was 31 points, Hat.
It was 34 points. It went all the way up to 34.
Okay, 34.
And I just could not get involved with Rice. Can't do that.
Who
against
could?
them.
I got involved with Rice, but it was only to eat some.
Yeah, got it. So moving on.
The quarterbacks that got banged up. We never talked about, on Thursday night, Tyrod Taylor got blown up. Tried to come back in the game, and Ed Hockley stepped over and sent him to the sidelines to go under the concussion protocol, which, by the way, I was revisiting that and watching it, and I'm looking at it laughing because Ed Hockley is like, yo, listen, dude, when Tyrod gets up, he wants to run another play. Ed is like,
Yeah, right.
You just got knocked the hell out. Get your ass to the sidelines and go see the doctor.
I know.
Tyrod was trying to be salty, but as we talk about that, I also revisited the Killer Cam situation in Denver. Man, Cam Newton took some serious headshots in that Denver game that were never called, dude.
They weren't called at all. And I've seen some really questionable calls be called with the rest of the games, and he got murdered in that one, and they called no flags.
There were no flags called in for him. And, Michael Irvin had brought up a big point about if it was Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. I'm like, okay, I agree with that 100%. But by the same token, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady don't scramble and run around. So not that makes it any better, but there was some serious launching and headshots to Cam Newton that, listen, I'm not a Cam Newton fan. However, I am a fan for fair gameplay. And rules are rules, and they need to be enforced regardless. And plus, it's called a football etiquette because you could be the guy getting launched at as well. So some of these guys have to keep in mind, you're on the precipice of ruining somebody's career possibly with, going after somebody's head. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And I'm all in. I hear cats with old school football. I see the text about that, and I know. But still, we're changing the game a little bit. We've seen this concussion thing. When you see these guys, these older football players, and they're eating soup all day. I mean, it kind of brings stuff, to the forefront of, hey, you know what? We want the game to be physical, but we also want it to be somewhat safe. Even I talk about it all the time. I love Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is one of my greatest, influences as a kid, one of my most favorite athletes. But seeing him at the end of his career and life, in the state that he was in due to all that, getting maybe punched in the head, I'd rather have seen him not take as many blows to the head and be, and have been a little bit more like himself at the end of his life.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. So anyway, Dream, we are going to get right into football, and we're just going to kick it right off with the beatdown blotter. All right, guys, this is our beatdown blotter segment of the show, the biggest lopside of the day that we're looking at. And this segment is brought to you by the sports betting legend, Mr. Jim Feist. Go to SBTVNation.com and click on the 3-day trial button to receive your exclusive package of football winners today. Dream.
Yes.
Clemson Tigers.
Yes.
Versus the South Carolina State Bulldogs. Clemson minus 51 points with an under-over of, I don't have one.
Listen,
they haven't even posted a total on this.
Listen,
yes.
It is time for the Clemson Tigers to stand up.
I agree.
I've heard Deshaun Watson in the media talking about how, he's putting a lot of the onus on him. It is time for this team to stand up and begin their journey towards the national title game because right now, got to be honest with you, I have not been impressed with Clemson other than a whole bunch of talking out of our own Scott Weaver.
I know. Looking at him here. And Hunter Renfrow, I believe that's his name, Renfrow, will miss some time with a broken hand, one of their wideouts. And their wideouts have not been all that, and neither has Deshaun Watson. So
Deshaun Watson's numbers, 46 for 87, 540 yards, 4 touchdowns. Not bad, though, Hat.
Not bad.
But not for what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, you know what? And I think that we're comparing him with some really stellar quarterbacks out there. So, basically, I mean, you got Lamar Jackson, who has basically set the bar with however many touchdowns he has, over 10 at least.
Jackson is wearing.
Yeah, he's wearing cats out.
He is wearing it out. 7 touchdowns through the air, 6 touchdowns on the ground. By the way, Action Jackson is wearing it out.
I know. So getting back to this game here, South Carolina State actually hung with Louisiana Tech for 2 quarters. In their last game, but they ended up getting blown out overall. But looking at this particular game, going into Clemson, Dream, I think this is going to be, as you like to call, a crime scene.
Well, it better be a crime scene because I'm getting a little fidgety.
I know. I hear you. I hear you.
Because fidgety with them. I heard all that talk in the off season, and Cats is coming back, greatest shape of their life. Dabo got the trailer park popping. Listen, it came out stale.
Very stale.
Just barely got around the little matchups that they have so far. But hopefully they will get it going today. I expect them to fully handle South Carolina State. I want to see an offensive performance. But on top of that, I want to see a stellar defensive performance of them as well. I don't want to see South Carolina State. Don't let me see no 10-3 at the half.
Yeah, right. Because that's like what you be seeing. So looking at this and looking at the Louisiana Tech game for South Carolina State, they lost 53-24, and they lost at UCF 38-0. So they're averaging about 12 points a game, but Clemson's only averaging 24.5, Dream.
No kidding, player.
Big mismatch here, though. There's no way, the way Clemson's playing right now, that I can take them minus 51 points.
No. By the way, there's no way I could take anybody minus 51 points.
I don't know. I'd be inclined to do a couple of different teams, but not Clemson right now. Not the way they're playing.
I'm not taking nobody minus 51. No one. Even if the Broncos was playing, I still wouldn't take them for 51.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm looking at this particular matchup. I think that this is definitely the recipe that Clemson needs to get it together. A nice little tune-up game because they got some pretty heavy games coming up in their schedule, Dream. So looking at this one, I think they need to make a statement here. Like you said, if it's 10-3 at the half or something like that, you're definitely going to get more conversation swirling around this team being good or not so good. So, and when you look at Clemson moving forward here, hopefully it's not a look-ahead game because they got to go to Georgia Tech after this. They got to play Louisville. They've got to go at Florida State. They got Pitt on their schedule as well. I mean, they got some pretty rough games here. So I see now it's up to 53, Dream. It keeps rising and rising and rising. So, you know what? We're not advising to take Clemson minus the 53 points, guys. So I think we're going to fall back from that one, Dream. You're with me, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm with you.
All right, guys.
I wouldn't take 53 if the Broncos was playing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. So we'll be right back. We're going to take a break, and we're going to get into the marquee college matchups after the break and take your calls. We are the SBTV Nation.
Looking to win big this football season? Go to smpicks.com, the #1 sports expert in picking winners. Everyone wants that winning edge. At smpicks.com, you'll get 30 years of experience in picking big winners on all sports with our team of experts. At smpicks.com, it's all about being a winner. Owner Scott Matthews just can't see it any other way. Visit right now at smpicks.com and receive your first huge winner on us, absolutely free. That's right, all listeners receive your first huge winner on us, Scott Matthews, a great American. It's absolutely free. That's right, free just by registering at smpicks.com/SBTV.
Hey, sports fans, football season is here, and it's time to get in on the action with MyBookie.net. MyBookie.net is the first and only sports action website with real Vegas odds and incredible player props for all your favorite sporting events. The best part is there are no sign-up fees and no deposits required to join, play, or win. From pro to college football, MyBookie.net lets you play online and win big. There's no better time to join MyBookie than today. Go online to MyBookie.net to open an account to start playing with the big boys. MyBookie has proven to be the most exciting online experience for all sports fans. Get in on the action. Visit MyBookie.net today. Call 844-722-2387. That's 844-722-2387. Or visit MyBookie.net today. MyBookie.net is the real deal. Only the biggest, only the best, only at MyBookie. Sign up today. No deposit necessary. Terms and conditions apply. Play for fun only. Void where prohibited.
DigitalMuscle.com, the fitness industry's media hub, home to the most knowledgeable, influential, and inspiring members of the worldwide fitness community. DigitalMuscle.com, the exclusive home of the Arnold Classic webcast, Pro Bodybuilding Worldwide Radio, and the new Digital Muscle blogosphere. Join us at the fitness industry's media hub, DigitalMuscle.com. DigitalMuscle.com.
Hi, this is Jim Feist in Las Vegas. I've been making my clients money for the past 45 years. I'm releasing a special 3-day trial right now on SBTVNation.com. I've isolated the top 5 college and pro football games on the board, and I absolutely love these games. Go to SBTVNation.com right now and click on the 3-day trial button for your exclusive package of winners.
All right, Dream, we're back.
Yes, sir.
And we are ready for college football. And guys, if you want to have a conversation with your boys at the SBTV Nation, feel free to call us at 972-885-6184. That's 972-885-6184. Dream, we have to kick it right off with Louisville in Florida State today.
Kind of wanted to save that for last.
You wanted to save that for last.
But you know what? It is going off.
It's going off like
12. So
in
you know what?
Yeah, an hour and a half.
Let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. Let's get right into the cream of the crop. Now, we've talked about me not really appreciating Mr. Jimbo Fisher, so I am slightly biased as far as Florida State is concerned. But Action Jackson is definitely the talk of the town right now.
Right.
As I said before, 37 for 62, 697 yards, 7 touchdowns through the air, only 1 interception. Then he takes it to the ground, 32 carries, 318 yards, 6 touchdowns. This team, to me, are playing at an off-the-chart high level. Now, I know the competition that they've played has not been all that.
Right.
Will you come in here and talk to me about that? We look at Florida State, we look at what they've been doing as far as the air is concerned. DeAndre Francho's been running 681 yards, 5 touchdowns with 1 interception. We do know Dalvin Cook, the dynamic running back that they have, 34 yards. 170 yards on the ground with 34 carries and 2 touchdowns. That's impressive. Now, when I come down and I look at Louisville, though, I look at Louisville with their rush yards allowed, 84.5 rushing yards allowed this season.
Yep.
Okay? Florida State is not going to be able, in my opinion, to run the ball effectively against Louisville, which will lead them to go to the air a little bit. I don't believe that's a strong suit for Florida State, and I believe that Louisville will be able to capitalize on some of the Florida State mistakes. I also did not like some of the Florida State linebacker play when I look at how they played Ole Miss in the first half of that game, where I think that Louisville will have a little bit of an advantage throwing maybe some of the intermediate passes over the middle, should be somewhat open on the Florida State linebackers. Now, of course, Florida State, Jimbo and company, they're no idiots. They've watched the film, and they know what Louisville's going to want to attempt to do to them as well.
Right.
So their guys are going to be prepared for it. The thing that you have to discuss with football is always, as much preparation as you make and as much as you want to execute, when real-time gameplay comes into factor, all of that stuff sometimes gets thrown out of the window, and sometimes, especially at this age level, you can get overwhelmed by a lot of information. Louisville obviously is home. The crowd is going to be electric.
Yep.
They've got a little tribute going on to Muhammad Ali going there as well.
Nice.
So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of emotions flowing and a lot of things going. Florida State, I've said this before, if Florida State plays Louisville the way that they played Ole Miss, and I know that they probably will not, But they throw in a splash of the Ole Miss gameplay as far as their defense is concerned. This game will be a problem for them. I do like Louisville. However, I am going to definitely manipulate the lines. I'm not going to go with a hard play. The lines are going to be manipulated. So, guys, here's what we are forecasting as far as I'm concerned. And my disclaimer is I'm not a handicapper. I just win a lot. 8-point teaser. We're going to add 2 teams to this, and we're going to get Louisville plus 8 points. 8-point teaser. We're going to add 2 more teams to this, and we're going to have Louisville plus 8 points. That's the start of it. I'll give you some more later. I want to hear Hat's thoughts on this game.
I'm looking at the Louisville Cardinal. I obviously think that Action Jackson is the front runner for the Heisman as it sits right now. But then again, Dream, they have not played anybody. So looking at them, they average 66 points a game, giving up 21. You know, Louisville, going back to last year, was strong defensively. And they've brought that back into this year. Now, when I look at them versus Florida State, honestly, I think that they are the superior team. You want to give me points with Louisville at home in this particular situation, I have to go Louisville to win the game outright. I think they win this game. I think Action Jackson has a phenomenal game. I think they may start off a little bit slower than normal, but I think they will get the job done. I'm not a big Florida State fan. I think Florida State is overrated, and I like the Louisville Cardinal to win the game on the field.
I absolutely agree with you 100%. I also think Florida State is overrated, but, this is a big-time game. Bobby Petrino's got it's a young group. They're up and coming. They haven't had quite the polish and quite the limelight that Florida State has had on this particular stage. That can work for you or against you. So you have to keep that in mind with this particular matchup. We don't know if the Louisville kids are ready for this next step in this next level of game. I believe that they are, but obviously when the kickoff happens and it starts, we'll find out truly if they're ready. Florida State's been in this position before. This is nothing new to them. This is no new territory for them. They've over the years, they've obviously been been ranked high and have had really pivotal games. This for Louisville is now a step up into the big leagues right here, and it's going to be interesting to see how they respond in this particular situation.
Yeah, I mean, going back to last year, I've never been dazzled by Florida State. They did come close they did play Clemson pretty close last year, but, like you said, Jimbo Fisher and the whole package, I'm just not feeling him. So
he just doesn't do it for me. I've said the same thing. Ever since they passed the torch to him from Bobby Bowden, I have not been blown away by them, like you say. Been impressed. They've had a lot of talent there. And I know they've had some success, but to me, not the success. My point with this is, if you put Urban Meyer, you put Nick Saban, a couple other coaches around the league, maybe even Art Briles, even though it's hard to mention Art Briles, he might would have had crazy parties popping off. Yeah, right. Maybe even Art Bizzle up in this piece. I think that the outcome would have been that much more successful than what Florida State was able to accomplish with the talent that they had. And that's what the point I'm trying to make. So, hey, Bobby Petrino's at the helm today as far as Louisville's concerned. We know that he's got a little bit of a winning pedigree. He's going to get the ball going through the air. I like Louisville to win this game, but to make it safe, go grab some points. I like the 8-point teaser. I got 2 other teams to put it for as we move on later in the show.
All right, Dream, we're going to move over to the SEC right now and have a conversation about the big one that's going on. We've got basically a double revenge spot as Alabama has lost 2 games in a row now to Ole Miss in the Nick Saban era, and Alabama is minus 11.5 points on the road, Dream.
All right, now you guys know I can't stand Alabama. Let me just
even with Jalen Hurts at the helm, I can't see how you don't see, definitely a difference offensively with an athletic quarterback, Dream.
I just don't like Alabama. I think it's just I don't like Alabama. I don't really care for Nick Saban. It's something about Alabama. Maybe it's because the success that they've had, they just always win. I don't like Alabama. But that being said, I like money. Okay? Yes. I like money. So, today, Alabama is not having it.
Well, Nick Saban's not having it, yeah.
They're not having it. Saban's not having it. He probably started preparing for this game over the summer last year at the end of the season, getting his guys ready. We look at Alabama this year, and by the way, I know I picked on Alabama's offense and talked about how their offense is always booty, dusty, boring, tired of seeing them. But this season, Alabama brings to the table one of the more exciting offenses that I've seen them run in about a decade. So I got to give it up. Hurts is 29 for 47, 405 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns, 1 INT. Only 4 touchdowns. Take that with a grain of salt. Take that with a grain of salt, because when Alabama gets the ball in the red zone, they are not letting him throw the ball.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? They're definitely going to tell him, okay, baby, you got to hand this off and don't even think about not.
Very good point, Dream.
So we got to take that with a grain of salt. He probably could have a couple more touchdowns on the season, but Alabama's not going to throw the ball in the red zone. Forget it. Harris, 20 carries, 183 yards. They're going to look to establish the run game. Alabama always wants to establish the run game. The guy who I think we need to really talk about and discuss is, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, Ardarius Stewart, which is the dynamic wide receiver that Alabama has, number 13. 9 receptions for 203 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Beautiful.
Dude gets it in.
He does.
Gets it in.
And, looking at this Alabama team, they're only giving up 8 points per game, guys. And you know what? You may look at the competition and say, hey, that's not that impressive. But I beg to differ on that. Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, have a very prolific offense.
But they scored 10.
They scored 10, right. But still, think about it. They averaged, going back to last year, over 40 points a game, that team. So looking at this and looking at the way Alabama defeated them and beat them down, Dream, you know what? Alabama should get it done today. I don't like the game, though.
No, I love this game. I absolutely love this game. I think Alabama beats the break off of Ole Miss. And by the way, looming in Ole Miss's back of their mind is going to be the meltdown that happened at Florida State. Should Alabama come out, punch them in the face, and get off to a fast start, I would be leery of Ole Miss panicking and letting this game maybe turn into a problem. So you have to keep that in mind, because in the back of their minds, they still remember what happened in Florida State. You're going to want to see Chad Kelly get off to a great start, but look for them to kind of keep little baby hands on Chad Kelly as far as his throwing. Kelly will throw an interception, definitely. He will throw that interception, especially in a big spot, trying to force something and make something happen that's not there. The other thing that you got to look at Alabama, when we talk about them, rush yards allowed, 43.5.
Sick.
They're not letting you run the ball, Judge. Judge will not be successful running this ball today against this Alabama front. Also, Alabama's front should be in Kelly's face, which I think is going to spell for some more disasters. Listen, this team is stacked for this particular game. They are set up for this game, and they are set up to go in there and really be motivated to beat this Ole Miss team. The other problem I got with Ole Miss, I don't know if you remember Ole Miss's secondary hat.
I haven't
watched. Secondary against Florida State.
In the second half was brutal. Booty. Absolutely brutal in the second half, yeah.
But there was some mistakes being made. But in the second half, they really were booty. They had a couple of injuries, and some guys made a couple of adjustments, but it was bad. And I expect Alabama to really capitalize off this Ole Miss secondary. I like Alabama to win this game. Now, the points. This is why we do the 8-point teaser. Because we already have Louisville in it. The second piece to the puzzle is the Alabama Crimson Tide at 8 points to the 11, and we bring it down to 3. If you have to add the half a point, bring it down to 2.5. You guys know how to play with this. You want this under a field goal for this game. Definitely get this under a field goal, and I think you have a solid win all day. I also happen to think that Alabama will cover their spread, but if I was going to take them by themselves, I had 11, I definitely buy it down to 9.5.
All right, sounds good, Dream. Well, that's probably a pretty good play. And like you said, they got to be prepared. And you got the self-proclaimed best quarterback in college football, Chad Kelly, facing that defense. He might get a wake-up call today. So I agree with you on that one. But I don't think I'm going to play that one. I see some other games that are kind of tickling my fancy. So
talk to me.
Moving on here, guys. We're going to have a conversation, but real quick, when we get into the next game, we are going to talk about that this segment is brought to you by MyBookie.net. MyBookie is the only football contest site where you can play for fun and win for real, whether you're an expert or a rookie. Play now at MyBookie.net. Use the promo code SBTV. Dream, we got to talk about the Ohio State University facing the Oklahoma Sooners in Oklahoma. The Ohio State University minus 3 points. And I am searching for the total in this particular game, and for some reason, I cannot find it. You got that one pulled up?
So me and the kids were watching the Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
I got a total of 63.
63. I'm seeing it right now. Yep. Okay.
So we're watching Lord of the Rings, and as we're watching Lord of the Rings, I couldn't help but keep thinking about Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
Because Lord of the Rings features hobbits.
He is small, huh?
Baker Mayfield is seriously undersized for a quarterback in a big game. I am so sorry, gang. And I know you got some Oklahoma people that are out there. Just sit down. Don't stand up. Don't say nothing to me, because you know that in big games, Oklahoma does not show up. And guess what you have today? A big game.
A big game. But it's at home.
We've not talked a lot about Ohio State University this year.
No, we haven't.
We haven't been talked about that much. We haven't talked about what Urban Meyer has brought to the table. I know you're an Urban fan. Go ahead. Give me a little bit.
I am. I definitely am. And I mean, they've looked pretty damn impressive so far this year. I did not expect them to be all that, considering the fact that they lost a lot of players. But, when you look at this particular team and what they've been doing, they're scoring a lot of points, Dream.
Definitely.
And they are definitely rocking and rolling. And, you've got basically, a lopsided coaching situation, in my humble opinion, because, you get big game Stoops, which cannot win a big game, versus Urban Meyer. Clearly, you got to give the nod to the Ohio State University as far as coaching is concerned. But here's the thing. Oklahoma is in that must-win situation if they want any shot whatsoever at making the 4-game playoff, or the 2-game playoff rather, because with 2 losses, as we talked about earlier in the show, they're pretty much done. That's it. Whether they win conference or not, they're done.
And be prepared to be done, because a loss is happening today, because Ohio State is not having it. JT Barrett, 35 and 53 with 488 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. They're going to get the ball down the field. What's even more impressive is my boy Weber, that's running 36 carries, 228 yards with 1 touchdown. Weber's been running wild, and I expect him to run wild on the Oklahoma rush defense. Even though they've only allowed 83.5 yards a game, guess what? Houston got it done through the air for most of the game, and Greg Ward Jr. did not run a lot in that particular game. They used their running back. So I'm going to say that little stat is a tad bit skewed. I expect Ohio State to have a lot of success against this Oklahoma team. I do not see Oklahoma winning this game. I'm sorry. I like Baker Mayfield. It's a nice guy, but to me, he is just too small out there. I don't know that he can really see over his offensive line. I don't know that he can really technically see the whole field effectively as he should be able to. He's a small guy, and I feel that's a problem as far as getting that ball down the field, and Ohio State has to be foaming at the mouth. If anybody can get their guys motivated for a big game, Urban Meyer is that guy. And especially, I like him giving even more emphasis that this game is, if this game was in Ohio State, I might be inclined to say, I'm a little bit leery of this game. I'm a little bit want to be careful because they might get snuck. But because this game is on the road, I feel that there's that much more preparation and polish, and especially intensity from Urban Meyer on the Ohio State team to come in to execute properly. Not to mention, this team has not been in the limelight. They haven't had all of the off the field distractions that they've had in the past with the media all over them, and everybody's worrying about them and talking about their gameplay. There's no quarterback controversy. Ohio State had a lot of controversy in the last few years that they haven't had to deal with this year. They could be focused on football, focused on getting it done, focused on playing. I expect them to come in. I really like Ohio State in this game to win. And now this is the last piece of the 8-point tease.
There you go.
3-team 8-point teaser. We've got Louisville first thing in the morning, popping off at 12. Then we move over into the second game, Alabama, 3:30. This is an all-day watch teaser. So you can get yourself, a bacon, egg, and cheese with a Louisville, all right? Then you could get like a ham and cheese grinder, or, steak and cheese grinder or something, for the afternoon Bama. And then you end the night, with a nice ribeye with a nice baked potato or sweet potato, for the nightcap of the Ohio State-Oklahoma Sooners. I got you an all-day event. Get your food ready. Get your popcorn ready. Have your snacks ready. This is all day on the couch material.
Wow, and you got all 3 marquee games in your teaser there, Dream. So.
All 3 marquee games in the teaser because we don't play.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with a couple of games that aren't so marquee, but I see some spots that I am feeling. You are listening to your boys at the SBTV Nation.
DigitalMuscle.com, the fitness industry's media hub, home to the most knowledgeable, influential, and inspiring members of the worldwide fitness community. DigitalMuscle.com, the exclusive home of the Arnold Classic webcast, Pro Bodybuilding Worldwide Radio, and the new Digital Muscle blogosphere. Join us at the fitness industry's media hub, DigitalMuscle.com. DigitalMuscle.com.
UnitsVIP.com is the most selective sports handicapping service that you'll ever find. Owned and operated by a career sports investor, UnitsVIP.com is a low-volume, high-end service that sticks to the 4- and 5-star material. If you're patient enough to wait for edges big enough to call investments, then UnitsVIP.com is what you're looking for. If you're ready to take the step from sports gambler to sports investor, then visit UnitsVIP.com today. Follow on Twitter at AnonymousUnits.
Have a product, service, or website to advertise on the biggest show in the world? The SBTV Nation podcast reaches tens of thousands of the best sports fans on the planet in over 194 countries worldwide. Take your business to the next level by advertising with us. Call us now at 872-529-SBTV or email us at sbtvnation@gmail.com.
Looking to win big this football season? Go to smpicks.com, the #1 sports expert in picking winners. Everyone wants that winning edge. At smpicks.com, you'll get 30 years of experience in picking big winners on all sports with our team of experts. At smpicks.com, it's all about being a winner. Owner Scott Matthews just can't see it any other way. Visit right now at smpicks.com and receive your first huge winner on us, absolutely free. That's right, all listeners receive your first huge winner on us, Scott Matthews, a great American. It's absolutely free. That's right, free, just by registering at smpicks.com/SBTV.
All right, Dream, we're back. And we got to talk about a couple of other spots because there are a lot of college football games on the ticket. And I'm seeing one here of a team that punched me in the face last week. But I'm looking at them and I'm looking at the matchup with the Mid-American versus the Big Ten. I'm looking at Western Michigan in Champaign, I should say, versus the Fighting Illini and Lovie Smith. Now, I've got a home team underdog here, Dream, and I see the Fighting Illini are plus 3-point underdog at home versus Western Michigan, surprisingly. So Western Michigan is 2-0. They average 46 points a game, but when you look at the level of competition that they have played, I mean, it's, NC Central and at Northwestern, they won by 1 point. Looking at this game, Dream, you want to give me the Fighting Illini as a home team dog. I have to take them. I'm going to take them to win the game outright as well. So that's what I'm looking at here. Yeah. I mean, I know it's a nasty one.
For you.
That's a nasty one, but I have taken 2 underdogs so far to win their games outright, and that's what I'm going to do. I am taking the Fighting Illini to get it done today, and if I get punched in the face with them again, I might have to pull off them.
I'm a name guy, and I just can't mess with Wes Lunt as the quarterback because the name just doesn't do it for me. Like, it doesn't make me feel like he's going to be successful.
I got it. When you look at the rest of the landscape, what's going on here, I mean, the Fighting Illini have given up 25.5 points per game. They hung with North Carolina most of the game last week, but North Carolina pulled away at the end. When you look at them through the air, they're not that impressive, only averaging 177 yards per game through the air, but 234 on the ground. And when I look at the Western Michigan team here, I'm looking at them, giving up 114.5 as far as their rush defense, and they have played nobody. So, I mean, well, Northwestern is, I think Northwestern has fallen way off, but I think a lot of people are overrating this Western Michigan team, and I think Illinois gets the job done, Dream. So that's where I'm going to go with this one. I think it might be nasty to begin with, but I think that they will get the job done and win in Champaign.
I'm going to let you be on Revis Island.
Revis Island.
You by yourself on that one.
I am by myself on that one.
Let me know how that works out at the end of the night.
All right.
So with the love man.
All right. I'm taking Lovie Smith. One other thing before I kick it over to you, Dream, I just want to let everybody know that the Yale Bulldogs start their season today at home. I believe they're playing Colgate, if I'm not mistaken, and I am not going to the game, so I will not catch a look at them. But you're going to have to wait until the next time they play at home for me to catch a look, and then we will have a conversation about the Yale Bulldogs, because you know how that works for us. We usually cash with them on football and basketball, Dream. It's either whether we're taking them or fading them. We do pretty well with them.
Ask you tomorrow, what's love got to do with it?
All right. So looking at the rest of the landscape of what's going on in college football, you have anything up your sleeve? I know you got that big teaser going on.
You know the SBTV Nation is looking for a dog.
They're looking for a dog.
I'm the wrong guy to look for a dog. I don't mess with dogs because, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a dog, that means that you could possibly be a loser. And like Killer Cam said, show me a guy that loses well, and I'll show you a loser.
Yes.
However, I do have one dog that you may look at that I think is a live dog. This is not so much. I'm not playing this, but it's a game that I'm looking at that I happen to like slightly, and I'm going to mention it. I did mention it, when I was on the radio in Texas on Thursday night, and that is Appalachia State is going up against Miami today. In Appalachia State, as you like to say, a home team underdog is going down as Miami is giving that nasty four that you and I always talk about.
Right.
I do feel Appalachia State has an opportunity to win this game. We know that Appalachia State lost to Tennessee. However, that was a game that possibly could have went the other direction with some more savvy coaching techniques and ideas. It could have possibly went the other way. So we are going to look at Appalachia State today. I'm not going crazy. I don't love this particular game, but there is a possibility that Appalachia State can beat this Miami team.
You know what? I agree with you on that. I mean, and that triple option has been a pain in the ass for a lot of teams that have been facing it this year, Dream.
Sure.
So, I mean, between them, Navy, Army, and some other teams that run it, including Georgia Tech, it's been pretty impressive. And you know what? That's like the oldest style of football there is. That goes back to the 18th century. I mean, realistically, looking at this, Miami on the road, straight up. Let me just take a look here. Against the spread, rather, 6-12 against the spread in the last 18 games on the road. Miami is the U. And when you look at Appalachian State, 18-3 in the last 21 games, Dream.
Yeah, well, do remember that Reich is there now. Mark Rich is there now. It's different.
Yes.
So things are different as far as your traveling preparation is concerned. Also, Rick is an old school type coach who likes to run the ball. So generally, a running coach who runs the ball will probably have a couple of more answers for this option than your average coach. I think about Wisconsin when I think about this game. I think about Wisconsin. Wisconsin, LSU attempted to run the ball with Fournette against Wisconsin, which to me was not smart because Wisconsin it's a run program. So they are definitely well acclimated in how the run works, which they should be well versed in how to stop the run as well. Keep that in mind in this game. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just saying I do feel like Appalachia State does have a fighting chance. This is not a game that I'm on, but I'm just talking about it because I know a lot of the people who listen to this program do like underdogs, and I think this is a great underdog. Now, if you want to get this involved in a teaser, though, with some points, add it to the 4, I think you're in a great spot because even if Miami wins, I by no stretch of the imagination thinks that Miami's going to blow them out. So if you can get this, you'll throw 7 on this, a touchdown on this, and have it at 11, I think you're going to be very comfortable with that, having Appalachia State plus 11 at home.
I'm noticing that the line has come down on the total from 55 points down to 51.5.
Okay.
It looks like people are pounding the under, and I see why. When you look at these two teams, they're they're not giving up any points at all.
The public hat.
The public.
Ready for a public play?
Exactly. Appalachian State gives up 13.5 points a game, where Miami gives up under a touchdown, 6.5. So looking at it here, and Miami on the road in the last 11 games, 8 of those games have gone under, Dream. So the under might be a pretty good play here. Maybe you see a lot. I mean, you're going to see a lot of running with Appalachian State, considering the fact that they run the triple option. So that might be something to take a look at. And the Miami Hurricanes are fantastic on the ground as well. 326 yards on the ground. So you're going to probably not see so much passing here. So it might be a good underplay.
Say that again?
Might be a good underplay.
Well, if I were you guys, I still would manipulate that line. That's a great other piece to manipulate the line if you want to do a double team, teaser and take Appalachian State and then take the under and tease it up. I'm not the biggest fan of the public plays and all that. The only public I usually use is when I'm in Florida. I go to Public and get something to eat. Anyway, we're going to flip it over to the Vandy Georgia Tech game. I want to talk about that for a second because I was able to see Vanderbilt live and in action. I got to tell you that they are not good.
Okay.
Saw them live. The fact they beat Middle Tennessee last week, I still don't understand how they do it. They did get helped out by a ridiculous storm that came through. We had to evacuate the stadium. Might have had something to do with me being at the game and just making it that much more of an agitation. But Vanderbilt is not good. They don't have a great defense. They don't have a good offense. They cannot throw the ball effectively with their execution. Keep all that in mind today as they travel to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is giving them, I believe it's 6.5.
Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now. There's like 100 games.
I know there's 100 games on the board. I got 6.5. I just want to double check that with you.
All right, yeah, I'm looking at 100, man. I'm trying to figure it out right now. As a matter
of
fact,
well, anyway, we saw Vandy lose to South Carolina opening night. Then they were able to beat Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee did make a lot of bad turnovers in this particular game that Vandy was able to capitalize on. However, like I did say to you, Vanderbilt is not – their defense is very, very, very dusty. So be very careful, guys, if you're looking at this game. If you can get Georgia Tech, and you can get rid of your points, I think you got a solid play with Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech wins this game. I don't love this game, but I'm just throwing it out there as a tidbit for some of you guys that are looking at some other games that aren't necessarily the marquee matchups.
All right, and I see Georgia Tech minus 6.5, and Vandy is 2-5 straight up in the last 7 games, and Georgia Tech is 3-9 in their last 12. Dream, that is an ugly, nasty game, and you are on the island by yourself with that one.
Well, like I said, I'm not saying that I love this, but we're talking about a couple other games because we've already talked about the games that I love.
Yep.
And we're talking about a couple other games that I happen to have seen Vandy live, so I know what I'm talking about in regards to them and their defense. I've seen them live. Trust me, it is not pretty what Vandy does.
It is not pretty. Okay, so I'm going to move over to one more spot before we get out of here, and that is Colorado in the Big House in Ann Arbor, facing the Michigan Wolverines. My team that I feel is going to win the national championship at 14-1 odds right now. I think it's a pretty damn good play. Looking at Michigan, minus 18.5. Dream, do you realize that Michigan has 5 straight games at home to open up the season?
I do.
Who makes that schedule? I mean, that's crazy. I mean, because, you got to be on the road later on in the year. I don't know. I mean, maybe they like it. Maybe it works as an advantage to them. I don't see how that could be an advantage whatsoever. And 6 out of their first 7 are at home. And then they have to go on the road and play at Michigan State, at Iowa, and at The Ohio State University. So it's going to be kind of tough.
So talk to me about today's gameplay.
I like them to beat up on Colorado and cover the spread. They have been outstanding. This team gives up 8.5 points a game. Colorado defensively is pretty good as well, only giving up a touchdown per game. But Colorado, 3-14 in the last 17 games on the road, going back a couple of years here now, Dream. Michigan, 7-2 straight up in the last 9 games at home. Obviously, you guys know what they've been doing. You've seen Mr. Harbaugh doing some nasty stuff on the sideline. And I think that Michigan will get the job done here.
I'm wondering if Tom Brady, because Tom Brady's at the game, I'm wondering if he shook Harbaugh's hand without a glove on.
You know what I'm thinking? Maybe he had because he's kind of an intense guy. Maybe he had like a little cocaine rock in his nose or something.
Listen, I don't know what he had in his nose.
It might have been trying to numb his mouth.
There. I don't know what that comment was. I'm going to move myself away from that. I can say my own controversial stuff all by myself without getting wrapped up into yours. Listen, the thing with Michigan, I got to tell you something about this game. I hear you with Michigan.
Yeah.
However, you played Hawaii. You played University of Central Florida.
I know.
You're feeling yourself, but you played nobody.
But you covered the spread.
Okay. Covering against Hawaii, come on, player. I mean, I'm not going to get crazy about that, especially in your house because Hawaii's got to travel. So now here's my thing. This Colorado team comes in, and I know that Colorado has probably been a problem since. I am going to really date myself when I say this name, Cordell Stewart and company. Y'all remember that? Some of the old guys just fell off their chair when I just said that. But since Cordell Stewart and company were there running around, and they come in, very interesting pass attack, 522 yards through the air with 3 touchdowns. Lindsey carrying the ball, 27 carries for 125 yards, 4 touchdowns. A lot of effectiveness in the red zone. You look at Michigan, and yes, Michigan has allowed a lot of runs, a lot of rushing yards has been allowed on this Michigan team. 178 rushing yards have been allowed by Michigan player.
Yeah, I'm aware.
178 yards
that's
by Hawaii. Hold on, wait.
Yep.
By Hawaii and the University of Central Florida.
Yeah, but you know what? They've been up substantially in these game streams. So
okay, all right. Oh, okay, all right. So I'm just saying, when I look at that, that's one little stat that skews me. Now, I know that the pass yards are way down, so their pass defense has been very good. But I'm very bothered by 178 yards. Generally, when you see a team that's played 2 awful teams like they have, I mean, when you go look at Alabama and you go look at even Louisville, their rush yards allowed against booty teams has been way under 100. This is well over 100 yards, player. And I know they've been up large, so the party starts. But still, that's a very bothering statistic to me that has me scratching my head. Not saying that the Colorado Buffaloes are going to win this game, because I don't think that they will win this game. But this may not be necessarily the cakewalk that everybody thinks it's going to be.
All right. Well, you got 18.5, and if you were to do the 8-point teaser and you get that down to 10 or 10.5 or something like that, you might be all right.
And I got to be honest with you, I am not the biggest fan of a guy that eats boogers.
All right.
Don't come down and give me no dad.
All right, guys. So, wow, the hour flew by, and we are going to be back tomorrow with the NFL and have a conversation with the nation about it. And Dream, great show today, man.
Great show today, guys. I really, I see G-Rose out there with App State. Go easy, player. Don't lose, though. Careful. y'all love a dog. As soon as I mention a dog, everybody's, oh, yeah.
I'm on 2 dogs today.
I did do 2 dogs, but be careful, please. Listen, your boy, I told you what I'm messing with. I got the 3-team tees, the 8 or 8.5 points, whatever you can get. Make sure you get that Bama game under a field goal. Make sure you get it under a field goal in case it's tight. And listen, should Louisville falter at the beginning of the day, I will probably chase with Oklahoma straight up. I mean, not Oklahoma. Oof, excuse me. I'm sorry. I will probably chase with Ohio State straight up at the end of the day. I know you're not supposed to do that, but whatever. You're not supposed to do a whole bunch of things that I get down with. So.
All right, guys. All right, and I am on the Louisville Cardinal to win the game straight up. I am on the Fighting Illini to win the game straight up, and I am on the Michigan Wolverines to cover their spread. That's what I'm doing today. I'm going to probably put all 3 together, and the parlay probably pays insane, Dream. Probably pays something like 20 to 1, 15 or 20 to 1, something like that, of taking 2 underdogs as money lines and 1 spread. So we love you to death, guys. Go out there, go easy, rise and grind, make all your dreams a damn reality, and get that money.
And gang, go very easy. We got a great, listen, I think there's some great matchups for tomorrow as well. Go very, very easy today. It is only week 2. A lot of surprises are out there waiting for you. Please don't chase, and please wager responsibly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock, guys. Take care.